Hey there guys, welcome to Anthony Reviews, where Anthony reviews, and today we are going to do an unboxing of the Mafex, Batman Hush, Scarecrow, and Riddler. The Batman Hush line from Mafex is one that I've grown really accustomed to. I'm not like a diehard Jim Lee fan or anything, but I like the artwork of Hush, and, I like the look of these figures. And so when they release characters, whether major or minor to the story, I do feel that urge to pick them up. And so recently they released both Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane, and Nigma Riddler, Eddie Nigma, Riddler. I always think the packaging looks really nice for these. I do like the sort of big open window. You can perfectly see the figure inside as well as a good amount of the accessories. Nice sort of Batman Hush with the blue. That's how I sort of associate the covers and everything with the, Batman Hush is this sort of color here. Got a nice picture of the figure on the side. More Batman Hush with nice picture of Riddler there. And then on the back, we get some more images of the character to kind of give you an idea of what the figure can do. So rather than giving you artwork from the comic, you get figure pictures to give you an idea of like what you could pose them like, whether it's with the cane or some money, a lot of stuff going on. We've got some very much scheming Riddler, which is appropriate considering the story that it's from. And then just another shot of Eddie on the side. So yeah, I would say pretty exciting. I've always liked the packaging for these. Let's go ahead and just do a quick look at Scarecrow. Scarecrow looks pretty menacing. We get a nice Jonathan Crane head as well. Nice scary image. Scarecrow down there. Oh, Eddie fell. It's fine. Nice Batman Hush logo. And then more pictures of Scarecrow with his sort of spindly, weird looking fingers. Then another look at Scarecrow on the side. So as good as these boxes really do look, I do want to open them up. They're highly articulated, cool figures, and I want to see what they're like. So let's go ahead and start with Scarecrow here. Scarecrow in the tray here, looking good. There he is. There he is. And so here we have the Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane, all out of this packaging with all of his accessories. And I mean, first impressions, this is the Scarecrow. Like, this is a really solid version of the Scarecrow, in my opinion. In terms of accessories, he does come with a lot. I do like his little sort of hands here. They almost look like insects or spiders just sitting off to the side. But we've got these sort of like big, sprawled out hands, which are freaky and scary. And then you've got some more like scary, scratchy hands. So the hands that he has on right now are a bit more relaxed, a bit more just sort of standing there like a sort of unliving Scarecrow, but then these other hands were a bit more creepier, I guess you could say. Oh, there goes one. He also does come with some heads. So we got this sort of Scarecrow screaming head, which you can kind of see with like the stitching, like the mask and the mouth and everything. Like, this is very creepy, but I like all the paint detail on the hat, the sort of weathered leather look to it, the straw hair, which is really nice. Like, it is an appropriately scary looking face. And then the other one is a bit more of a Jonathan Crane, blonde Jonathan. I don't know if everyone has like a favorite hair color for Jonathan Crane, but this one's going for blonde, which is accurate to the book at least. But he's got a very sort of scrawny looking kind of face. This is not exactly your star-studded, handsome Hollywood man. But hey, if you like this kind of look for Jonathan Crane, then more power to you. So looking over the figure itself, like I said, proportions and just the general style of him, I do think he looks really good. There's not a whole lot of paint on the actual body when compared to things like we saw the hat earlier. It had some nice sort of weathering detail. Not a whole lot all over, but it gets the job done with the colors that it has. And, it has paint where it is needed, like on the stitching and everything and the sort of patchwork. I do think it looks good in that regard. The texture, this sort of like ratty, terry kind of texture with the texture of the ropes and all that. It does look really detailed, which, is cool. Some more close-up look on that Scarecrow face. So it's the same face as the other one, just not screaming, obviously, but you do get a nice sort of sinister kind of Scarecrow look to him. I think that's very appropriate. In terms of articulation, I do think he comes with an appropriate amount for the Scarecrow. He's the Scarecrow. He's not getting any kind of like high-flying action kung fu fights, but this one is almost like Michael Jackson inspired. I'm not really entirely sure why I did that, but you do kind of see this sort of lankiness with him. You can get some sort of very like creepy undead sort of posing with him. Like, what I do like that. Like, legs can come up like that, which is a lot. I think that's good. And they go back. He feels kind of like he could blow away in the wind. Oh no! Legs on a ball joint, you just pop it back on. But I mean, he does feel like he has an appropriate amount of silliness, appropriate amount of like bendiness, if you will, that does feel very, very creepy, I will say. It does kind of feel like you're doing a lot. If you mess around with them too much, you pop off pieces, but you know, you can just put that back on like that. So that's not that's not too bad. That's not the figure's fault. That's my fault for being silly right now. Did want to kind of see what Scarecrow looked like with some of the alternate pieces, including these sort of hands with these giant, sort of spindly, spread out fingers and that sort of open mouth look to him, whether he's screaming or laughing or whatever. He kind of looks like a Halloween sort of decoration. Like you feel like you could hang this up in your lawn and efficiently scare people. But I do think he looks good. I do think that he's appropriately weird and creepy, and I think that's what you need with the Scarecrow. So if you're a Scarecrow fan, yeah, I feel like you should probably have this figure. Now, of course, let's go ahead and move on to Riddler. Riddler appears to come with a pretty good amount of accessories here, which is exciting. There he is. And here we have the Riddler out of his packaging, and I mean, while a bit more of a simpler look than, say, the Scarecrow we just looked at, undeniably Riddler. With the beautiful greens and purples that we have here, it's a really pretty figure. As you can see, he comes with a lot of accessories, including hands. Like, we've got all sorts of stuff where he's got, like, fingers and pinkies pointing up. We've got just sort of exclusively fingers pointing up, if you want him to kind of doing like a hush kind of motion. We've got sort of gripping hands like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. He comes with fists, gripping, open hands. It's quite a bit. We've got this sort of sack here full of money. So a pretty typical, I guess, brown sack with some nice shading on it to give it a bit more of a detail. It does have some paint up top for sort of like tied off sort of rope. It could use like maybe a dollar sign, kind of make it a bit more cartoony, but that's just not what it is. Then we do have this sort of dollar bill kind of flipping through cash there. It doesn't move. It's just a solid sort of piece like that. We do have an alternate Riddler head. This one with a big smile on his face. Similar to sort of Jonathan Crane, we got a sort of a specific hair color. In Hush, Riddler had brown hair. People may prefer sort of red hair or something, but there he had brown. So kind of the very specific sort of look for the Riddler. And then finally, we have the Riddler cane. I like this cane enough, I guess. I usually think of Riddler canes as being fully gold, a bit more flamboyant, I guess you could say, but this one is just a green stick with a little curved bit at the top. You can tell it's a Riddler cane. If someone showed you this, you'd assume it's a Riddler cane, but it's a bit more, I guess, streamlined and simple. So in terms of the Riddler here, it is a guy in a suit, so it's nothing too crazy or extreme, but you do get little details like the sort of question mark on the tie. You do get a question mark on the bowler hat, which is not removable on either one. They are just sculpted on there. It's just how they are, but, it makes sense. We got a purple sort of domino mask, purple gloves. I like the shoes. The shoes are sort of a shiny leather material. They're meant to represent leather. They're plastic. This is a plastic shoe. Let's pretend I took that off on purpose. With a nice sort of gold buckle, which is the only gold on the figure. Everything else is purple and green. So while it is very simple, it is very straightforward. It's the Riddler, like there's two Riddlers. There's Suit Riddler and then there's Spandex Riddler. And this is Suit Riddler. This is just how he appeared in the comic book. So you either like that or you don't. So here's Riddler with some different pieces. I've got him holding the cane, got a little bit of a different hand in here to kind of be like, something like that. I did feel like the hands were a little tight to put on, so if you're sort of switching out the hands versus Scarecrow, which I thought was pretty simple and clean, I thought Riddler was a bit tight, so be careful with that. But I like the expression, I like the attitude you can get out of him. Obviously, with something like this, the torso is pretty, moot. But in terms of like arm articulation, he can get his arm up like that. He can get his legs up here. So, if you want him to kind of do a little bit of like a dance routine, I guess you could do that. But just acknowledge the fact that it is a suited body. This is not going to get into any kind of like crazy articulation stuff. Like, as you can see, the legs can go out that far. It's nothing too extreme, sadly. But, you do have some options here and there to kind of do whatever you'd like. You can get still some, like expression. It's not completely like a statue, I would argue. So you can see right here. You know what? Okay, the more I play with him, the more he's pretty fun. And then just to kind of give you an idea of what these two characters look like side by side, here we have the Riddler and Scarecrow together. And, you can kind of see the sort of builds that are different. Obviously, Scarecrow's a bit taller, a bit lankier. He's got a taller hat. Riddler, while he's not a shorter guy, he does feel kind of stout because of the sort of shape of the torso. Not so much in person, but sort of comparatively, you can tell by the sort of string bean of a man versus just a normal man that is the Riddler. And then just to get a comparison with a villain here, we have the Mafex Batman Hush Harley Quinn, so another figure from the same line, so ideally they should look good together. And I mean, I do like how much the colors of Riddler pop out the same way Harley Quinn's do versus the more drab browns of Scarecrow. And then if you wanted to see a Batman character that's technically still from Mafex, but from a different line, this is from Nightfall, Bane, obviously. So, Bane has a pretty evergreen look to him, and so do Riddler and Scarecrow for the most part. So if you kind of wanted to see what Riddler and Scarecrow would look like with Bane, there you go. And of course, to finally wrap it up, we have the one guy that started this all. It is the Mafex Batman Hush Batman. The beautiful sort of navy blues and dark grays. Here's what he would look like next to Riddler and Scarecrow. This video is brought to you in part by Hobby Link Japan. If you're a fan of things like Super Sentai or just Japanese media in general, why don't you check out Hobby Link Japan? They've got figures, statues, and a whole horde of different kind of collectibles. Click the link down in the description below to check out Hobby Link Japan today. And that is the DC Mafex Batman Hush Riddler and Scarecrow. Overall, I think these are really, really good figures. If you're a fan of either of these characters or a fan of the Hush line or just really want good import versions of these characters, I would recommend them. I do think they are worth it. But that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to see more sort of Batman videos, I do have other Batman figures, including ones about the Mafex line and things like that, whether it's Mattel, McFarlane. I've got a few videos here and there. So subscribe for more videos in the future. If it is a Hush version of that character, there's a good chance I will be getting it. So moving forward, stuff like Robin, who's going to be coming soon, yeah, go ahead and look out for that coming out on the channel here. But I guess that really is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.